Welcome back to Dan Recaps. Today, I'm going to explain the movie The Axiom, released in the year 2018. At the start of the movie, we meet Garrick, Edgar, McKenzie, her brother Martin, and his girlfriend Darcy as they begin their search for Mackenzie's sister, Marilyn. They are on their way to meet a man who responded to their ad asking for information about Mackenzie's missing sister. Darcy thinks it is suspicious because he is the only person to have responded to the ad, but Edgar is sure he just wants to help them out. As they make a quick stop by the road, Martin asks about Edgar's mental health as he has been seeing a psychiatrist, but Edgar assures him he is fine as long as he takes his pills. As they talk, Mackenzie reads Marilyn's journal and tears some pages out to hide them from the rest of the group. Soon, they arrive at an old restaurant where they believe their informer lives. As they look around, a man named Leon appears and startles the group. Despite being annoyed by the scare, they get acquainted with each other while Darcy leaves to use the bathroom. It turns out Leon is the man who contacted her about information regarding her sister's disappearance. When she asks about Marilyn, he brings out some equipment including a heart rate monitor, a cell phone, and a few vials of a red liquid which he asked her to drink before going in. She is shocked by his strange behavior, but he guides her to Cinder Park and tells her they need to go inside a place in the middle of the park. Mackenzie questions him about a secret passage Marilyn mentioned in her journal, and he tells her it's called the Axiom, while admiring Marilyn for her research. As Martin comes to look for her, he overhears Mackenzie and Leon arguing about the existence of the Axiom, but he says she will soon see for herself. Martin interrupts and introduces himself, as Leon tells him he can find their sister near one of the many travelers' outposts in Cinder Park. As they are about to leave, he shows them a picture of his wife Jessica, who went in there too, and asks them to find her lost necklace inside the park. He gives them a sign to post on their car so no one interrupts their journey and says goodbye while wishing them luck in finding Marilyn. The group arrives in Cinder Park while Mackenzie is still thinking about what Leon said about the Axiom. As they cross the traveler's outpost, she learns it's the point that leads to the secret passageway, but without telling him the truth, she urges Garrick to go first. As he walks in, Garrick suddenly loses sight of his friends, although they can still see him. He also begins hearing some strange sounds and gets scared, but the group soon joins him. After walking a bit, Garrick starts complaining about the hot weather and asks them to rest for a while, but Martin thinks they should get to the tents first. He also notices that the sun's still up, although it's past 9, but Martin explains that maybe it's normal in this region. As they talk, Edgar spots Jessica and tells his friends about her, but they don't see anyone. This makes him nervous, so he takes his pills, thinking he might just be hallucinating. Soon, they arrive at an abandoned house, and Mackenzie starts knocking on the door, calling Marilyn's name. Upon her suggestion, Darcy stays there with her, while the boys leave to check out the other buildings. After checking the houses, Martin and Edgar return to Garrick, who notices the sun is just moving around the sky instead of going down. The trio then rejoin Mackenzie and Darcy, who are still trying to get inside. After breaking the lock with an axe, they enter the house, where Edgar spots a journal with the same sign that Leon gave them and finds it contains the names of those who have visited the house. As Edgar writes his name on the journal, Mackenzie pulls out Jessica's picture, and he is shocked to see it's the same girl he saw outside. After telling Mackenzie, he leaves to get his tools so they can open the box, while she is left alone in the house. Mackenzie is then attacked by a man who mysteriously says he advised them to chop off their heads, but they did not listen, so someone hurt him instead. Meanwhile, Martin and Darcy return after looking around, but hears something from inside the house where McKenzie is being choked by the stranger. But she manages to free herself after drinking the red solution Leon gave her. After her friends come back to the house, McKenzie and Martin open the lock and find Jessica's necklace inside. As Martin tells his friends about the necklace, Edgar sees something outside and urges them to check it out. Outside, they find handcuffs attached to the wall as well as blood on the ground, suggesting someone was tortured there. This upsets Edgar, who leaves to clear his mind, while McKenzie asks the group if they saw anything unusual, but they say no. While going through McKenzie's bag to find a matchbox to light up the fire, Martin sees torn pages and learns McKenzie knew about the dangers of the area. He confronts her about it, accusing her of lying to them. She clarifies that she didn't believe what Leon said, but now she thinks he was right and they are in another world. Meanwhile, Edgar spots Jessica wrapped in plastic and struggling for her life. Back at the house, McKenzie tries to convince them to keep looking for Marilyn, but Martin urges them to give up and leave this place. She comes outside to talk to them, but is confused after they behave like nothing had happened. She asks them about Edgar, but they insist he never came with them because he chose to stay back with Darcy's mother. Seeing her concern for him, they tease her, but she ignores them and goes out looking for Edgar. McKenzie calls Leon to inform him about the situation. He tells her that they have stayed in the Axiom for too long, and now the Pale Ones are messing with her friends' minds. He advises her to gather her friends and come back now before the Pale Ones come for them. She tries to ask for more details, but he drops the call. When she gets back to her friends, she spots a strange creature sniffing around them as they lay on the ground, but it quickly disappears. McKenzie rushes to wake them and offers them the vial to drink, but they can't find Darcy anywhere. Soon, they hear her screaming and find she's being tortured by Edgar. While running to help, Garrick falls on the ground and gets injured, but insists McKenzie leave him behind and help Darcy. Martin arrives to help Darcy and hits Edgar in the head with a log and knocks him unconscious, but they then see Edgar had already stabbed her. When Edgar wakes up, he finds himself bound in the chains, while Martin brings the injured Darcy and Garrick inside the house. McKenzie is afraid, but Martin comforts her and asks her to go check on Edgar. She comes outside and finds him freaking out after finding blood all over his hands. As he asks her about what he did, she learns that he does not remember anything and goes back inside to tell Martin about it. She tries to convince him to let Edgar free, but Martin thinks he might hurt someone else if they do. Martin suggests that McKenzie leaves to look for help, but as she goes, she now sees Jessica outside the door. She then tries to call 911, but reaches Leon instead, who asks about his wife. McKenzie tells him that she is seeing visions of her, although he told them the liquid will keep them away. He then tells her that Jessica is not a vision, but a real person who is possessed by the demons just like Edgar. McKenzie asks him about how to save Edgar, but he reveals it's impossible to get him back. McKenzie and Martin begin to argue with him before he reveals that Marilyn was never inside the Axiom. They are furious that he lied to them, but he says if they bring back his wife's necklace, he promises to give Marilyn's location in return. Realizing it's all her fault, McKenzie intends to find the passage so they can go back home. Meanwhile, Martin comforts Darcy, assuring her they will get her out soon. She gets worried about Edgar, but Martin reveals he already knows it wasn't their friend who tried to hurt her. He then picks up a knife and heads toward Edgar, who is again possessed and yells at Martin, saying that they are coming for him. Martin is afraid and goes back inside to find Darcy asking about Edgar. Meanwhile, Garrick leaves the house too and begins seeing visions of himself and Jessica, who invite him to come with them. While McKenzie searches for the passage, she spots Marilyn, but quickly realizes she isn't real. Back at the house, while Martin leaves in search of Garrick, Darcy gets up to check on Edgar. He asks her to set him free, but she cannot lift the axe. Martin calls Leon to ask about Edgar, but he reveals they must chop off his head as the demon is eating him from the inside and he is dangerous for them. He runs back to find Edgar choking Darcy with his chains. Martin stabs him, but he doesn't seem to be hurt at all. He then uses the same knife to stab Darcy while Martin runs away from him. Meanwhile, Mackenzie is hit in the head by Garrick, who then starts beating her, but she manages to get herself free by kicking him. Martin shows up to rescue her, but they find Darcy is coming after them with the axe. Mackenzie tries to get to her, but Martin stops her, revealing she is no longer their friend. Darcy kills Garrick with the axe, while Martin and Mackenzie run for their lives. Mackenzie blames herself for her friends' deaths, but Martin assures her it's not her fault, but Leon's, because he tricked them. He wants revenge against him, but Mackenzie tells him Leon is the only one who can get them out. She asks Martin to call him, but he realizes he has left the phone at the house. Despite Mackenzie's request to stay with her, he goes back in search of it. After he leaves, Mackenzie spots Jessica, who pushes her outside the Axiom. When Martin returns, she calls out to him, but he can't hear her. Suddenly, a group of guys appears and tells her that since he is on the other side, he won't be able to see or hear her. Martin goes back in search of her, while one of the men injects something into Mackenzie and starts dragging her away. When she wakes up, the man gives her something to drink, but burns her arm with a hot iron before Leon joins them too. He tries to talk to her, but Mackenzie spits in his face and is slapped by a group member. Leon doesn't get angry and assures her she is safe outside the Axiom now. When she questions him about the creatures, he tells her they call them Drogers, or the Pale Ones, and they possess humans' bodies. When she accuses him of killing her friends, he shows her a monitor and tells her that Marilyn is still alive, and so is Martin. Leon reveals he and his friends visit the Axiom to study the phenomena and the creatures that live inside. Mackenzie is shocked to hear that he intentionally sends people in there and even sent Jessica as a punishment for trying to cheat on him. When she asks about Marilyn, he confesses that he sent her inside the Axiom, but it's the different one from this. He again shows her a device that's monitoring Marilyn's heart rate and asks her to choose whether she or Martin is saved. She chooses Marilyn, so he drives her to the other Axiom, telling her that it was discovered in the 1950s when the government ran some tests here, but the locals kept it a secret. He tells her that there are 6 Axioms, each filled with these strange creatures, and he and his friends study them. Upon arriving, he gives her a flashlight while telling her this one is very dark. On entering the Axiom, she spots Marilyn outside a house and runs to her, but finds she is bound in chains. She goes inside to find something to get Marilyn free and finds the same journal with the visitor's name on it. Mackenzie tears the page and picks up a knife before coming out again. After she fails to cut the chains, Marilyn becomes scared after hearing a roar and slits her own throat with the knife Mackenzie brought out. Mackenzie comes across one of the creatures but manages to escape. She returns to Leon and points the gun at his head while forcing him to drive back so she can at least save Martin. At the entrance, Leon tries to attack Mackenzie, but instead is attacked by Jessica. Mackenzie runs back to the house and finds Martin. She rushes in for a hug, but he stabs her with a knife, revealing he is already possessed by the creatures. In the end, Mackenzie wakes up as one of the possessed souls of the Axiom. That was all from the video. Subscribe for more content like this and leave a like to help the channel out. Also, leave a comment if you want us to recap your favorite movie. Take care.